This three-part instrument here is the Boxitron 5 Million. And as you can see, it's got a nice box, that's the name. The original idea behind this project, behind the instrument, was that we wanted something that first off involves multiple players, not one person controlling the entirety of the music. We wanted to combine sort of chaos, in this case the ball's in there, and you can have people actually sculpting in real time, you know, the chaos that another player is creating to make the actual music and textures. Here you go.
He's throwing the balls in and they're bouncing from one pad to another.
Okay, so let's see how we did.
So each of these ball hits is translated into a loop in our sample, and then the loop is played over and over again. We control the speed. That's what we're discussing.
We were trying to find the best way in which we could get something that would have a rigid structure, so it would be able to bounce around, but also not fly all over the place.
We started off with like a little box, then it became a box with a funnel, and then we had like just a funnel, and then a funnel stacked on another funnel, and then some sort of donut 2B shape, and eventually we ended up with this.
The catch is not very sophisticated. So we have 4 plywood trapezoids, and then we have these foam panels, and underneath each foam panel is lever switches. So when you press different places on the foam panel, it will trigger different lever switches.
And make moves.
Ideally.
Or the stomp pad, rather. Sort of like a looping pedal. It's just 4 actual guitar switches they use on like guitar kits. And you just use those to rig to LEDs so you can see which one's recording at a time.
So the main hurdle of the max patch was finding something that found the timing of each event and then was able to change that. The things that we're altering are all done in max. And so this will change the root note that we're using. So you heard how it kind of got higher and lower. We have these sliders that change the speed at which that the recorded sample is being played, and they're all independent of each other. We have the volume and then some effect for that specific sound. And these switches toggle on and off the sample.
It's a Minion loop,
Yes.
which is created by the sequence of the balls hitting the switches.
Yes, correct.
The footboard says, we're recording something. We throw the balls in and those trigger certain events in the computer. And then we say, that's what we're recording and stop it. And then here, we take that bit, those events, and we say, this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to make it this fast. We're going to send it to this synthesizer. We also have it so that you can easily toggle between random notes so that if it does happen to bounce on the same one a couple times, you have there's a probability that it'll be another note. And it's pseudo-random, so it's based off of music theory, and so you have a tendency to go for more stable notes versus tendency notes. These are the numbers of the pads that were hit. So we hit pad, the one you can ignore, but we hit pad 813, and then at these times in milliseconds. And then so we use these times to scale the speed, and we use these numbers to send out which note it's hitting. Up here are just the controllers. These correspond to the knobs that we have here.
This one was trying to capture the sound of like actual bouncing, so you got like a little blink blink kind of sound. We made the volume, and this one down here, it alters the release. So you can have it hold over or make it shorter.
Also, we have a major minor switch.
The second one is the basic acoustic guitar sound.
Okay.
And again, that one you can change the release time. we hooked up to a chorus flanger, and this affects the delay time, so it kind of makes it sound a little warmer. Or the slider on the first knob are tempo and volume for all of them. And the last one we have is a kind of a synth pad kind of sound. And then the lower knob, this one controls filter frequency.
Without even recording, you can make new sounds. If you turn those on, you can see.
You can play it live, like this.
Oh God, you guys, what are you doing? Slow that down.
So if we want to start sampling one, which you already recorded, it stays recorded, so we record something else. And you can sort of get interesting mixes of the samples by messing with the switches. This, as I said earlier, controls major and minor. This controls the root note and sort of the key. You have 1 through A with the octave here. And so you can actually sort of make a song progression or chord progression by changing through these. So it gets more musical than just ambient noise.